Hello and a very good morning. Welcome to Shop on TV. I'm Hayley Green.
And I'm Sean Crawley.
And we've got a really different night tonight. We've got a night that I think will perhaps give you that peace of mind. Perhaps there's something you know you should have done is write that will, and you've just put it off time and time again. We have got an amazing company with us this evening that I think when you listen to all the reasons, there's so many reasons, and we didn't realise why you should definitely write a will.
Yeah, tonight Simpler Law join us here at Shop on TV. And if you've been thinking about writing a will, but you've put it off, or you've just never got round to it, tonight could be the night to make that first step and get these great offers.
I think sometimes you panic, don't you? I thought it's going to be really complicated. I'm not going to know what to say. You know, it's all legal, isn't it? It's all a little bit scary. It really isn't. Simpler Law make it so simple. But the frightening thing is, and we didn't realise, we've been together 30, I meant to work it out, 33 or 34 years, thereabouts, and just presumed if one of us passed, the other one would get the money. And that is not what happens at all. You would be blown away if you haven't got a will, what can actually happen with your belongings. And the people you want to get don't get, and the people you don't want to get might get. So it's something you must think about.
And it's not just wills we'll be talking about tonight. We'll also be talking about lasting power of attorney, which is something that I've experienced personally, and we put in place with Simpler Law for Hayley's mum. So we'll talk about that as we go throughout the show as well. There's lots for you to see, lots for you to learn tonight, isn't there? There really is. Now, let's show you how simple it is to contact us and get hold of us, or get hold of Simpler Law directly tonight.
Because we have got some real special offers, and this will allow you to sort of lock in those deals. So you can either go onto the internet with simplerlaw.co.uk /shop on TV, or you can call, and you can call tonight. The team are ready and waiting, aren't they?
Yeah, the call centre are open right now. They're open right through till 3 a.m. If you do want to call tonight and secure these offers that we're going to be talking about, 0333 600 2600 is the number. However, on these shows, we are usually most busy with the text service.
Yeah, the text is brilliant. If you want to watch and you don't really want to speak to anybody this evening, this morning, I do get confused, text WILL right now to 66777, and then Simpler Law will get in touch with you after 11 a.m. this morning, because obviously they know you've had a late night, Wednesday. You know, they know you've had a late night with us, so they won't ring you till after 11 o'clock. And honestly, you don't need to know anything to get in touch. It's just actually simply securing the deals that we've got, because we have got some incredible deals. Because we did think doing a will or doing a lasting power of attorney would be so expensive, and it honestly isn't. So have a little look at the offers, because honestly you've got incredible deals today. So we have got here, of course, family and estate will, £180 normally, which I think is a great price as it is to know what you want to happen is going to happen. But actually tonight just £89, and the great thing is you can split that over 4 payments, £22.25. I bet you spend that probably on coffee in a month, or more than that.
Easily.
On coffee.
The way coffee's gone up in price.
Absolutely.
Easily.
And this is knowing that what you want goes to who you want it to go to. And we'll talk about what you can put into wills as well. This is also considering your pets, your children and things such as that. It's not just about what you have. You might think, well, I haven't really got a lot. We all have something that we know we want to be looked after. And then we've got lasting power of attorney.
Yeah, lasting power of attorney, suggested retail price of £325 for this. The Shop on TV offer price is down to £179, and like Hayley was saying, if you do want to split the cost, that opportunity is there for you. It's just £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. However, the best deal is if you combine the two together, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you've got an incredible deal there, and you'll understand why both of these are just as important as one another. Should be £505, £249 is your price, but again, splitting that over those 4 payments, just £62.25, which could be the price of a takeaway. Honestly, you've got such incredible deals there. Now, the real reason to secure your deals this evening, is the first 250 people will receive this fantastic book, What My Family Should Know. And I think everybody should have one of these. I think you should be given one of these at birth, because honestly, this just is going to make life so easy for who you've left behind, because there's so many things that we don't always know. Even however close you are to someone, you don't know about bank accounts, you don't know about passwords. But actually now, because world is so technical, it's also Facebook and things like that.
Yeah,
you could perhaps lose loads of photographs because it's locked on a phone and you don't know the passcode to the phone. And everything is in there. And I know a lot of people's, all their information is in their phone. And if you can't get into that phone, this allows you to have all the information in one place. And I think that is an amazing book. It's worth £25 and I know lots of people want to buy it. So please, whilst you've got that offer, the first 250 people will actually get that book. Just secure the offer tonight, this morning, whichever way you want to call it. And of course, you can go through our website as well, which is really easy.
Directly to our website, so ShopOnTV.co.uk. You'll see Simpler Law there right in the middle. You can just click onto there and it takes you through to the offers that we've got tonight. When you scroll down, this is the contact form that you can fill in, and again, the team will get back to you from Simpler Law. And once you've done that form, you've taken that first step. You've taken the beginning of the journey to write a will or to get lasting power of attorney.
And I promise you, it's so easy. It sounds scary if you're like me. It petrified me doing my mum's lasting power of attorney. These people, they're so friendly. It's like a conversation. You don't need to know anything. They'll talk to you. Or they'll get all the information they need out of you. We dealt with Marianne. She was incredible. They become like a friend. So please, it's one of the easiest things, and it will be one of the best things I think you do. It would just be a weight off your shoulder, and you think, I've done it. And it was truly so simple.
And we're not alone. Joining us tonight from Simpler Law, two of the team, Ian and Charlotte, are joining us for the show. Hello, both of you.
Morning.
Lovely to see you both. Now, before we get started, Ian, straight away, if you could explain to us who Simpler Law are.
Yeah, of course. Simpler Law is part of a group that provides private client legal services. As we're going to talk about a lot this morning, at the heart of what we do are wills and lasting power of attorney. But we offer a full range of private client legal services, which means for our clients we don't have to outsource any work.
Right.
So we can control the quality of the work that we do, we control timescales, and basically there's no question that we can't answer. Now, you won't come to us for things like a divorce or a boundary dispute or a personal injury claim or anything like that. But if you want to look after your loved ones, if you want to protect the assets that you worked hard for, then we're the company that you come to.
Specialised, don't you? That's the great thing.
Yeah, we'd rather be a master of one trade than a jack of all trades. So that's where we've positioned ourselves, really.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, there's lots of misconceptions about wills, aren't there? There's a lot of things that we think will happen that don't actually happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's the assumption people make, like you've already said at the start of the show, is you just assume that things are going to happen.
Yeah.
You've been together 30
Obviously,
years.
everybody would know I'd wanted to go to Sean would wanted to go to me.
Yeah,
But that's
exactly. But
not how
the
it
law
works.
doesn't work that way, unfortunately. You hear this term a lot, common law spouse partner. People just think, you know, I've been with this person, like you just say, people know where I want it to go, so why wouldn't it go that way? But unfortunately, that's not how it works. We'll go through what's called the rules of intestacy, which is a government will, which we can assure you, no one wants it to happen that way. You speak to any client of ours and no one wants it to follow that rule book. Everyone's circumstances are different, so...
It is, it's different for everyone. It's bespoke for everyone, isn't it? And what are the kind of things that aren't necessarily true that people think?
So, I mean, expense, cost. A lot of people think, oh, do you know what's really expensive?
To write one.
Yeah, and daunting. So people might think, you know, oh God, I don't really want to talk about it.
Yeah.
Some people might think, oh, you know,
It's a bit morbid.
Yeah, and it really isn't. It's just planning.
It's quite the opposite, isn't it?
Yeah, do you know what? I speak to so many clients myself. Over
Yeah.
the
And
phone.
people could speak to you, couldn't they?
They could speak to me, yeah. But honestly, the amount of people you speak to when you get to the end of the consultation and they say, oh gosh, what a weight has been lifted.
Yeah,
I'm so glad I've done that.
And you make it so easy. Who we dealt with for Mum's lasting power of attorney. You ended up being friends, really, and it was like a really nice little, just a conversation.
It is
and
literally just a conversation.
Yeah.
That is all we're asking you for, and it's not daunting at all. And you might think, you know, oh, my circumstances are really difficult, or I don't have much things like that. But, you know, just come and speak to us, because you'll be surprised what you actually want to achieve when we go through.
And the other thing to say tonight, which I think is really important, is you don't need any documents right now. You don't need to have anything, do you? It's about securing the offer.
Tonight, you mentioned the word first step. Tonight definitely is, let's do that first step. I think a lot of people, when I speak to them, if they ask me what I do for a living, I usually just say I'm a will writer. And the standard response is, oh, I've been meaning to make a will. That's quite, because there's something in us that we kind of know we should do it, but we're not quite sure why. And you asked the question, myth and mythology and misconception. I've never really been able to put my finger on in 20 years why people believe things are going to be okay without knowing why they think it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the sad reality is it's far from okay unless you take control and do it yourself.
Well, talking to you, it's so completely different to what you think is going to happen. It's quite frightening, actually. And when we did our last show, I was blown away when a single man died and his money went to completely the wrong people, and he probably thought, well, I haven't got any children, I'm not married, what's the point of doing a will right now? But the fact was, it made such a difference that he hadn't done that will, that his money didn't go to who he would have wanted it to go to, which was his mother. There's so many stories, and we'll go through some of those stories where you'll think, oh my goodness, I need a will. I think absolutely everybody needs to have a will. But Ian, it's not just wills that you do, is it?
No, we offer a full range of legal services, but you know, really the core of what we do tends to be wills and lasting power of attorney. Obviously, saying something really obvious, wills are guaranteed to be used because there's an inevitability to that. So we know, I think we're quite fortunate in what we do for a living, because we know that what we do is going to be used and we know it's going to make a massive difference for someone in the family. Sometimes the difference can be really almost life-changing without being melodramatic, because people can only know what they know.
Yeah.
The lasting power of attorney, however, whilst I want to be clear, is not an insurance policy. That comes into effect whilst you're alive. It's a document that you want to have and hope that your family never need to use it. But it fits in with estate planning, because I think, you know, the theme and why we do these shows is most people that we speak to have worked hard for what they've got. You know, they've not been given it, and so they want to make sure that everything they've worked hard for is going to end up where they want it to go.
Yeah.
So this is all about control. So if you make a will, you control what happens. If you create a lasting power of attorney, you protect your assets and you give your voice to someone else. So these are really, really important documents. But unfortunately, you know, we don't sit down in a breakfast table on a Saturday morning and say, let's talk about what happens if I'm incapacitated. Let's talk about what happens if I die. We don't do that.
Yeah.
So we carry on with our lives because we're all going to live forever. And then we never quite get around to it. And again, another obvious statement is, unfortunately, with what we do, when it's too late, it really is too late. So if you are watching this morning, you're thinking, I should do that, in the nicest way, stop thinking about it. Send us a text or pick up the phone. The team are there now. They're in Lincoln waiting to take your call.
Yeah.
I promise you, you won't regret doing it. But the cheesy thing that I always say is your family might regret that you didn't.
That you didn't.
Yeah.
Because you're not really doing it for yourself. You are, but you're doing it for everyone around you.
Absolutely,
aren't you?
There's so much heartbreak, isn't there? So much family fallout. There's so many things that can go so horribly wrong because that will wasn't written.
Truthfully, I think on shows like this where we're trying to reach people, I have to be really careful, because it's really easy to go down a dark path and say, look, these are the stories that we hear almost every day. And then it's like you're scaremongering, and we're not.
Yeah.
The awful thing happens all the time. You hit the nail on the head at the top of the show when you said you didn't realise what happened, but you have come to realise it and you fixed it, which is great.
Yeah.
But imagine if you hadn't.
No.
So a really bad time, if you lose someone that you love, that's bad enough. That can be compounded when then what you think should happen and what any reasonable person thinks should happen doesn't. And then it's too late to fix. So a really terrible time's made worse. I'm not saying that a will eases a bereavement, but it definitely doesn't make it worse. And for me, it's just about control. If you want to know, most people know what they want to happen, so don't leave it to chance. Certainly don't leave it to a set of government rules. Take control, and you know, the will, I think, for as little as the equivalent of like 74p a day.
Crazy.
Exactly. You know, you talked about coffees and things like that. You know, we spend money on all kinds of things that we may not use, or we spend things.
So true.
Yeah, and truthfully, look, there's sexier things to spend your money on than a will.
Of course.
But the value of a will whilst we put a price on it, the value of a will is almost priceless for your family, because you remove all that ambiguity, you remove any risk that what you want to happen isn't going to happen, because you've taken
It's
control.
all written down, it's all there, in a
And you've got
legal document.
But
Yeah,
we
that's the
can't.
thing,
but
yeah.
we can't help you unless you get in touch, and that's why we do these shows. So.
And you must, and it's so easy to do that. And honestly, you've got the most incredible opportunity to get some really incredible deals as well. And if you are thinking, that is me, I haven't written a will, and actually I do know who I want to give everything to, and I know there's certain people I don't want to give things to. That's the thing. It may be even that you've got a pet and you want to leave that pet to someone. A will is you might think
It's
you have
so much
nothing,
more than you think
but
it is.
absolutely. But you have so much, and what you have, you want to look after. And we've got some incredible deals to take, like Sean said, that first step today. But you do need to secure those deals this morning. So if you do want to contact us, have a little look at the ways to contact us. So easy to contact us on the website, simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV. You have got as well, of course, the phone number 03333 600 2600, and you can speak to someone this morning. Right now, the team are there until 3 a.m. this morning, and a fabulous, really friendly team. They can probably answer a couple of questions tonight, but then they'll sort out a date to get in touch and speak with you properly. It's just securing that deal and, of course, getting that fabulous book that we'll tell you about as well. And then the text is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. This has been so popular. And I think it's because you can do it now and speak later.
Someone will get in touch with you tomorrow, today, after 11 o'clock on Wednesday morning.
Today, yeah.
Just text the word WILL, W-I-L-L, to 66777, and that secures the deal. Whichever deal you want to go for, the team will get in touch with you.
And how easy is that?
Speaking of those deals, these are great prices. Charlotte was just saying, I think one of the misconceptions is you think it's going to be much more expensive than it is.
Absolutely, and you can see there for a will, £180 I think is great. I thought it'd be a big cost, but actually, if you secure the deal this morning, £89 is your price, which when you split that as well over 4 payments, £22.25. And think what you spend £22.25 on. We were saying just coffee, probably coffee a month you spend more than that. And you've actually done your will and you've made sure what you want to happen is going to happen. That peace of mind, which is fantastic. Then lasting power of attorney, which we will go into more detail of this a little bit later on. We did this for Mum with Simpler Law, as it happens, and they were fantastic. That price is fabulous.
Yeah, £325. The suggested retail price comes down to £179 or $44.75 on your first of 4 payments. The best value tonight is if you go for a will and an LPA, because the suggested retail of £505 comes down to £249, and if you want to split the cost of that, again, interest-free, £62.25 on your first of 4 interest-free payments. Remember, the first 250 people who get in touch will also receive a free copy of What My Family Should Know, that book that's worth £25 for the first 250 people. So that adds a little bit of urgency for you to get in touch, because that's brilliant.
It is brilliant. Ian, would you tell us about this? Because I think we should be given this at birth. So later on, we've definitely got it, because this is so important.
That would be a way of building your record. I'm not sure you can write at birth, but no. To be honest, it was born out of our estate administration team. So obviously we talked about a full range of private client legal services. One of the things we do isn't just wills, it's about the point of need as well, where we help people go through probate and actually the administration of the estate. So that team, what their job is to gather in people's assets, pay off debts, and then distribute according to the will.
Right.
So all that gathering of information and their assets means that we need to find it and know where it is.
Yeah.
And you made the point that we have things all over the place. We've gone digital now, so it's not always as easy to find stuff. So this book was born out of that, and it allows you to just, make a brew, sit down and take stock of what you've got and where it is. And like a will is a selfless act, whilst you'll find it cathartic for yourself and you'll get peace of mind, you're doing it for others. And this is a very similar thing. This is selfless, because you might have a load of photos and videos that are really dear to you and are dear to your family. But if they're on a device that you can't get access to, no one knows that, you can't use Face ID, you've not got the passcode. So it allows you to put things like that down. So it's just a way of documenting everything that you've got. Some terrifying figures were brought to bear out of this as well, because in doing this and putting together the research that we put into it, we discovered there's £5 billion of unclaimed pension funds out there.
5 billion.
Well, you imagine people might have had a job that were in a couple of years and there might be a frozen pension there, and then they might have paid into a pension and stopped. And if they're not found when you've passed away, they're just left. So there's £5 billion apparently of unclaimed pension
Just
funds.
sitting there.
£2 billion of unclaimed life insurance policies.
Oh.
And there's £850 million sat in UK bank accounts that should be with your loved ones, but isn't because they weren't found.
They don't find it, but if everything's in that book, you know where everything is. That's great.
It is. I think it's so important that.
First 250 people who secure an appointment will get that book. It's definitely worth every penny of £25 and so much more. When it comes to simpler law, Charlotte, why, if anyone's watching at home, why should they choose simpler law?
This is all that we do. Having a professional, like with anything in life, is making sure it's done correctly. We've got professional indemnity insurance, which will protect you, obviously, so every document that we provide is protected by that insurance.
Brilliant.
We have 5-star Trustpilot, which we're really, really proud of. And people take the time to put names on there as well. So our clients are actually specifically naming who they've spoken to, their consultant.
If we ever got any in your name, I bet you've known.
I've got a few on there, Ian.
There you go. You said good work, good comeback.
But it's nice to see because it's a hand-holding service that we provide.
That was the
It's
difference.
very much like this conversation. It really is a really easy conversation. You make it so simple and so pleasant.
Absolutely, yeah, because there'll be some people that will come and they'll know exactly what they want to do.
Yeah.
They'll come, you know, this is what I want, I know what I'm going to do, this is it, great. That's not a problem. But there will be others that will come and, you know, you'll start the consultation and they'll say, I honestly don't know. I've got an idea, but I don't really know where I want to go with it. There's a couple of things I want to discuss, and that's fine. We'll take it at your pace. This isn't you picking up the phone today and going, right, this is it.
Yeah.
No, this is just taking the step, coming to us, and we will take our time, go through each process with you until we've got it right, because it's really, really important we get it right for you.
And that is the nice thing you do. Until it's exactly right, nothing happens, does it?
No, not at all. No, it will be at your pace when you're ready. And we're there to give you that advice. That's what we're there for.
And it's
we're
what you
trained
do.
in that, exactly.
The whole point of this is everyone's different and everyone's situation is
Yeah.
different. So we understand that, we appreciate that. We have a duty of care to our clients. We're there to give them advice so that they can make a fully informed decision. So they get the document that they want that's right for them. At the end of the day, we've kind of got all the questions, but they've got all the answers. And then all we do is we give them advice, and they'll only get the document when they're happy with the instructions they've given us and they're happy with the advice that we've given them. What they do with our advice is entirely up to them, but they'll always get the document that they want that's bespoke for their situation. And we understand some people literally can do it in no time at all. Other people it take a bit longer, but we appreciate that, we understand that. So we'll go at a pace that suits you. But of course we can only do that if you get in touch with us.
Yeah,
Get in touch,
absolutely.
take
And
that first step.
Get in touch this morning and take that first step to make that. It's a small step this morning to make a big difference to your life now and your life after you've gone, and knowing that what you've worked so hard for and what you love goes to the people that you want it to go to. Because honestly, as we talk more, you will be blown away what actually happens, because it won't be what you think will happen or what you think should happen. Even if you're married, it won't always go to your partner, and we'll go through all of that. There's so many reasons.
Yes, so many reasons. Not only wills, remember, we're going to talk about lasting power of attorneys, the services that Simpler Law offer, as you can see here, trust planning and creation, probate and estate administration. We'll talk you through all of this, remember. They even offer a bereavement service, post-death variations and generalisation planning that you can see there. So many services, but specialising in this particular area, and that's why it's so important you get in touch.
And you've got such incredible offers as well today with your wills and lasting power of attorney, so please do secure those deals and make sure you get that fabulous book that we've talked about as well. Now, Ian, we've got a team of people waiting on the phones. Tell us a little bit about them, because you've got a fabulous team, haven't you?
They're amazing. They're all better than Charlotte.
He's brave, isn't he? He's brave.
He's very brave.
It's very close. You can reach.
I am within striking distance. No, our consultants are great, you know, and I know she's sat here, and Charlotte's great, and it could be Charlotte that you're speaking to.
Great.
But they understand, they're qualified, they've experienced, you know. Sometimes we'll get people who'll put off making a will because they think their situation's really complex. But we've got over 200,000 clients. We've kind of heard and seen it all, and we can guide you and we can help you. There's very rarely a situation, if ever, that we can't help with.
No.
In fact, we only get terrified, truthfully, when someone says, my estate's really simple. It's like,
Oh,
someone says it's simple, it's like,
That's when it goes wrong.
yeah, because ironically then someone will say, oh, you know, you might not like me because my estate's really complicated.
Yeah.
But actually, when you talk it through, it's, well, we can do this and that, and then the client's like, oh, great.
Yeah.
But again, you can only know what you know.
That's
so no,
it.
the client care team are great, and you know, to mirror what Charlotte said earlier, I'm really proud, as a director of Simple Law, I'm really proud of the 5-star Trustpilot, because that's our clients taking time out. And you're right, they don't say Simple Law are good, truthfully. They say Charlotte was good, they'll say
Yes,
Jack
yeah.
was good, they'll say Gemma was good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They'll
Yeah.
say Kylie was good, they'll
it's
deal.
that personal connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's our duty to you. If we don't have that conversation, if we don't talk to you, if we don't understand you and your family and your situation, then we can't give you best advice.
Of course.
And that is the
So-
great thing. We don't need to know. We just need to get in touch,
Yeah.
chat to you, and we'll discover what we need, and what you'll know what to do.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm diminishing Charlotte when I say this, but this is what Charlotte does day in, day out.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Charlotte's job. So she's a professional at her job, so she knows everything.
Because you're constantly taking those calls.
Yeah,
Yeah, and-
absolutely. It's just having the conversation.
Yeah.
That's all we're asking you to do.
Yeah.
And Charlotte, who do you think should have a will?
Everybody should have a will. It sounds silly to say, really.
No, I didn't even, only chatting to you made me realize absolutely everybody should have a will.
Everybody
shouldn't
should have a will, because there's no circumstance where you shouldn't. You know, as you've already said, if you're not married and you want it to go to the partner that you've had for 30 years, you need to make sure that's going to happen. You see a lot of mixed families now where we've got children from previous relationships. We need to make sure that we're protecting those children as well as each other as well, because again, which will come to the rules of intestacy, doesn't do that.
It won't always go to all the children
Won't always go
from
to
the
all
two
of the
families that have
children.
joined.
No, absolutely not. So a lot of the time you'll see a couple who will have children that they've had from previous relationships, and if they're leaving, something to each other, if they're married, it will all automatically pass that way, which means that the first children aren't going to inherit. Because then if that second spouse then passes away, it will then,
Just go to
via the
their
rules of
children.
intestacy, pass directly to their children. So
This-
actually you're disinheriting
Yeah.
that first spouse's children through no fault of anybody's
Just 'cause you
doing,
haven't written will.
just because you haven't taken the time to have a conversation and make that will.
And that could really break a family, obviously,
yeah.
couldn't it?
Oh, we see it all the time, and it's one of the biggest reasons for family breakdown.
It's awful, yeah.
Because again, these children, it's not their fault. That their parents haven't taken that time to make the will, and it's not always just those situations either. It could be that some people think, I don't have family that I'd want to leave it to, but is there a charity that you feel
Yes,
strongly
yeah,
about? Is
absolutely.
there a friend, a neighbour that cares for you, for example, or takes the time that you want them to inherit something? It doesn't always have to be a family member. Or is there someone, like you've said, you don't want to inherit?
Absolutely.
Because rules of intestacy, if you've got children or, a sibling or someone that you don't want to inherit, it could go to them.
What is that
Now-
for anyone that's watching,
Yeah.
thinking, what are these rules?
Let's
Rules of
explain it, and
intestacy.
we'll put something up on the screen for you to explain it. And Charlotte, you can cover what this means, because it's not the plan that you would think it would be, is
It's
it?
not, no. So rules of intestacy is essentially what we call the government will. So everyone essentially, without writing a will, without knowing it, has a will, which the government have written.
Yeah.
God,
Which is
years
this.
ago.
1925.
And it hasn't
Jones,
changed
1925, and it hasn't changed.
Not really. They've changed a few figures, but it was put into place in 1925 when obviously the social makeup and the family makeup was quite different. So it doesn't work.
Well, life is so different now,
100
isn't it?
years, isn't
Yeah.
it, next year?
Yeah, Charlotte hit the nail on the head. It might sound melodramatic, but if you're in a blended family, we're not going to be freaked out if we're talking to a couple who might be on the second marriage where they've got children from previous marriages and might have a child together. The rules of intestacy just don't work for that family, because it's all about your marital status and your bloodline. It's a default position that you understand that the country, if you like, has to have a default position because something has to administer your estate. But I don't think, again, because there's not a lot of information out there and it's not something we talk about, that the vast majority of people understand that they've
don't
got a
realise.
will if they don't make their own.
Absolutely.
there is a
and that
system,
is it.
yeah.
What you're looking at right now
And-
is your will.
And
It
the
is.
anger and frustration that we see when a loved one's passed away and the family going, but Dad wouldn't want this.
No,
Yeah.
and that'll be hard. You're already broken-hearted, aren't you, in such a horrible
It's awful.
place.
It's honestly,
And then all of that happens that just makes it a billion times worse.
it really is selfless. Making a will really is selfless because
Yeah.
obviously you're not here. That's the reality of it. But doing something brilliant today, taking half an hour out of your day. And I want to be really clear about this morning. You don't need to know this morning everything you want to do.
No, you
No.
don't.
This
need your
morning
plan,
is just
yeah.
knowing that do you know what, having a will is brilliant. This sounds
Yeah.
like it's right for me. And genuinely, no one does regret making a will because there's nothing to regret because you've taken control. But I promise you, if you pass away with the rules of intestacy, the number of things that don't happen is phenomenal.
Yeah. And there's no age, because I think we all think, oh, well, I'm not old enough, but we don't know what's around the corner, do we? You don't know
hear
what.
that all the time.
Any adult should consider making a will, and what you do is you make a will that's right for you today.
Yeah.
But you know, with the company like ours as well, it's not just about today; it's about the next. It's about
So
the
you
rest
can then
of your
change
life.
it if you then perhaps get married, you then have children.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, life is going to change.
Yeah.
It's never going to stay the same. You can keep updating your will, absolutely, but you still need one for now.
Yeah.
You
because
need to have one in place.
who knows what's going to happen? And I know it. You know, no one likes to think about that, but it's just planning.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's planning, and I can tell you now, there is not one single client that I've spoken to that would want to follow the rules of intestacy.
Yeah. Or one,
Not
you
one.
were saying one
Yeah.
single client who ever regrets doing it.
No.
Oh God, absolutely
Such a
not.
weight off your
'Cause like you've
shoulders,
said,
isn't it?
there's nothing. What's bad about doing a will?
That's it,
Yeah.
nothing.
You're making a choice to make sure what you want to happen happens.
It's like your last gift to your family, isn't it? It's your last gift to your family, knowing that what you want to happen, what you want to give, goes to the right people. I mean, it's so important. And we didn't realise, we've been together 33 years, hadn't done a will, we just presumed that obviously everybody would know. All my money I'd want to go to Sean, or Sean's money he'd want to go to me, but that would not have happened at all, nothing like that. And we only made a will in the last few years, haven't we? In the last
couple of years. Yeah.
couple of years.
But you've done it.
But we've done it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Done it.
that's the point.
Do you know what I really liked about what you said then? You hit the nail on the head. Something just sort of punched me in the face. It's your last act.
Yeah.
If you make a will, it's your last act. What you wanted to happen is happening. If you don't make a will, it's not your last act. It's a set of rules that was set up in 1925. And honestly, I think there's a lot of people out there who think, oh, I'm sure it'll be okay. But sadly, it just isn't.
That was
And
it's
why
what
do you
we
think
said.
they don't write? Why don't we write?
I think
wills,
there's
do you think?
well, I think there's a number. I think we're all guilty of a bit of apathy. We're all going to live forever.
Yeah.
You know, look, let's be brutally honest. If you make this all important first step, it's great. We have to take you to a dark place for about 30 seconds. If you'd passed away yesterday, what would you want to see happen? And we make that happen. And then it's your act, and that's what you do. So I think there's a bit of apathy because we're all going to live forever. I think there's a bit of complacency because of what you said earlier about people just assume or think that everything's
Yeah.
going to be okay. And I've never really understood that because they can't tell you why. It's just their gut
No.
reaction. And if it feels right, like you two have been together for 30 plus years, we never find out exactly how many years it is. by the way.
Never.
But
It was
neither of us
Somewhere around
know.
there as well.
It was 91 March.
We can't remember.
But you
So-
speak
was a
to any-
messy night.
You speak to any logical, decent, rational person. You've built a life together. You've been together for over 3 decades. So it stands to reason, and everyone knows who knows you, knows that you want everything to go to each other. If one of you had passed away without a will, nothing goes to each other.
Yeah.
And there'll be people who are perhaps listening to me and watching this now going, well, that's not right. But that's the thing. That's exactly what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
That's why you need a will, and that's why we do these shows. We do these shows because we want to reach as many people as we can, because we know that having a will is absolutely amazing. It may sound like the dullest thing in the world, but actually, and you know, again, to just echo what Charlotte said, when people finish a consultation, they never finish it with, oh, well, that was a waste of time, I wish I'd not.
Yeah.
It's always like, thanks very much. And in some cases, we've told them something that they couldn't possibly have known, and this weight they didn't even know existed has been lifted.
Yeah.
You know, in your situation, it's kind of that, you know. You automatically assume that everything was going to go to each other, and everyone understands that, and you hear common law, husband and wife. Legally, that's not a thing. And legally, without a will, you have no rights.
And would you tell us that story about the guy that was like in his 40s? Because this really shocked me. Because I was like, because I think if I was, single in my 40s, I probably wouldn't think again about having a will. Wouldn't even think, I'm not married yet. I haven't got children to pass anything on to.
Yeah,
But he had got people to pass.
Yeah, and the
things on to.
backstory to it wasn't particularly extraordinary, but it was a difficult story. So basically, there was a medical professional, successful as we understand, wealthy in his own right, academic, died suddenly, and the story was told by his mother and his surviving brother. And effectively, what happened when the gentleman who passed away when he was born, his dad left the family.
Right.
So basically, mum was left to bring up the 2 boys on her own. And the dad was never heard of or seen from again, so no birthday cards, no contact, no nothing. So, dad's out of the picture. When this poor gentleman passed away, he hadn't made a will. So he died intestate. So his estate is going to be distributed according to the rules of intestacy, which we've just seen.
Yeah.
the first question, it's a series of questions, the rules of intestacy, that leads to a destination. The first question is your marital status, and it doesn't ask things like, are you in love, or you cohabiting?
No.
You're either married or in a civil partnership, or you're not. There is no grey area. It's a yes or no question. Are you married or in a civil partnership? And depending on the answer, takes you to the next question. So the rules of intestacy, are you married or not? If the answer is no, the next question, and this gentleman wasn't married, the next question is, do you have children? Well, this gentleman hadn't had children. So the next question is, do you have parents? The answer was yes. And actually his estate was shared equally between his parents. So his poor mom, it's heartbreaking for any parent to think that they're going to bury the child. She's lost a son. Now she has to track down a husband who walked out on them all those years ago to tell him that he's entitled to half of the estate. And again, any logical, decent person will go,
Heartbreaking.
yeah, and we can't speak ill of the dead because we'll never know why he didn't make a will. Did he think he was going to live forever? Did he know that was going to happen, but there's no urgency? Or did he just not know?
Did he just not get round to it?
But I think reasonably you can expect to say that if you could ask him, when you passed away, your dad who you never met got half of everything, is that what you wanted? Reasonably you can expect the answer to have been no. And again, this is why we do these shows, because that's not a really sort of bizarre situation. That's just life, and life, unfortunately, is quite cruel. It can be made crueler with the rules of intestacy. So get rid of the government will, take control, and make your own will.
Get in touch and get started. That's the best thing to do.
Get in touch, and we'll tell you how to get in touch as well, because it is so simple. And don't leave it another day. We put things off, and then a week goes, a month goes, a year goes, and then you'll be next year and you still haven't done a will. And we don't know what's around the corner. You're never too young to have a will, and you're never too old. Make sure what you want to happen actually does happen. Now, you can get in touch either on the internet with simplerlaw.co.uk/ShopOnTV, or you can also ring. Now, you can ring 0333 600 2600, or you can text. Now, texting has been so popular. Now, if you want to ring, the team are there. They're there till 3 a.m. Ring right now. They're waiting for you. However, if you're thinking, well, I'd like to watch the show and I don't think I want to speak to anybody right now, if you text Will to 66777, as simple as that, someone will get in touch with you. I'm going to say tomorrow morning, but actually it's this morning after 11 a.m. So Wednesday after 11 a.m. So please make sure you get in touch and make sure you don't miss out on securing these offers. And that's what it's all about. It's all about securing those offers. So we'll take a look at those deals, because we have got some incredible deals. If you want to go for the family and estate will, you can see the details on your screen right now. £180 is the price it should be, which is incredible value for money, but £89 is the price that it will be. And the brilliant thing is you've got the opportunity to split that cost over 4 payments, so it's actually only £22.25. Wouldn't you think writing a will would cost an absolute fortune? We did. £22.25. I bet you spend that on coffees in a month. It's nothing, and you've got the peace of mind. What you wanted to happen to whatever you own is going to happen.
Now, we are going to talk about lasting power of attorney as well as we go through the show, so please do stick with us. We're here right through till 3 a.m. £325 is the suggested retail price. It's down to £179 on our ShopOnTV offer price, and if you want to spread the cost, £44.75 on your first of 4 interest-free payments directly with Simpler Law.
Lasting power of attorney is fantastic. We will go into more detail, but I did it for my mum with Simpler Law, and they were just amazing. Something again that frightens me. Law frightens me. Anything to do with law frightens me. I'm that one when the policeman's behind you. I'm guilty straight away, even though I haven't done anything. I didn't speed. I know I didn't speed. But it's so simple, and it's not frightening at all. And then you've got the will and you've got the lasting power of attorney, and that should be £505. This is one I'd really recommend. You've got that at £249, and you've got 4 payments there as well. £62.25 is your price over those 4 payments. So secure a deal right now. It may be that you might change your mind. You think, well, you secure the will, and you might think, well, actually, I'll do the will and the lasting power of attorney. I know that Simpler Law will make sure it happens for you, but just make sure you secure that deal, because the first 250 clients will get that fabulous book.
Yeah, and that book, basically, it gives you everything that you need to know. If someone does pass away, you can find everything. You can find all the utility bills, the passcodes, the bank account details, insurance policies, pensions that you might not even know about. could all be in that book. And remember, the first 250 people will get them. The guys are in the call centre right now taking your calls, but the easiest way for me to get in touch is to text the word WILL, WILL, to 66777, and then the team will get in touch with you after 11 o'clock Wednesday morning, this morning really. So please just get in touch, make that first step if you want to write a will. And it's so important to have a will in place, it really is. But again, to reiterate, Ian, why should people at home watching choose Simpler Law? It's you're specialists, aren't you?
You've hit the nail on the head. This is all we do. This is all we do. Wills are at the heart of what we do. You wouldn't come to us for any other service, but we're specialists in helping people protect their assets and make sure it goes to the loved ones. We've got over 200,000 clients. We've got the 5-star Trustpilot rating, which is
fabulous.
It is, because that is our clients taking time out to say that you've done a brilliant job for us. Well, it's an excellent job.
And that's because you make it so personal as well. You get to know the person you deal with so well. They become a friend, really.
I'd be really sceptical if we could write a will for you in 5 minutes. How do we know what you want? How do we know about your family? You know, we're there to listen to what you want. At the end of the day, the important thing about making a will is it's your will. It's not ours, it's yours. So we're there we'll give you advice, we'll guide you, but we'll be guided by what it is you want to do, because at the end of the day, it's your will, it's your assets, it's your family. And that's the whole point. If you don't make a will, your last act on planet Earth isn't your act.
Yeah.
It's an act of a set of rules that were made in 1925 that were supposed to suit everybody. There's only 4 of us here this morning. I dare say that all our situations are different, but if we didn't have wills, we would all get the same rules of intestacy. It doesn't make any sense.
And there's lots of things as well which you don't want that at all, and when you see that in more detail you'll be so shocked to see what actually does happen. It will be completely the opposite to what you think. Even sometimes, you know, when you're married, or if you've got children from different marriages and then you've got children together, it can go so horribly wrong if you haven't got a will, because it's not going to go to everybody in the end. So it's your final gift. But I think lots of you don't realise as well, you might think, well, I haven't really got anything to leave to anybody, but it doesn't have to be just money. You talk about pets and things such as that.
Oh, look, I might be talking out of turn. We have some clients who seem to spend more time worried about where the dog's going to go than what's going to happen to the children.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In the UK, we have what's called testamentary freedom. That's the whole point, is you're free to make your own will. But yeah, I think if we stopped someone on the street and said, can you explain what a will is? Most people will say, well, it's you write down where you want your money to go. That's the basic perception. One of the first things you can do when you make a will is you can decide who you want to administer your estate. So you choose someone that's going to actually deal with the will for you. With the rules of intestacy, you don't know who's going to step forward, because you don't get to choose that. So when you make your own will, you get to choose your executors, you get to choose the people that you trust to look after it. So sometimes it's your partner, sometimes it's your children, it's a combination of both, sometimes it's a professional, but you get to make that decision. The other thing as well that a lot of people don't think about, and parents really should, it isn't just about leaving money. You can actually leave your parental responsibility. You can put a guardianship clause in your will.
Yes.
If you speak to most parents, it's an awful thought for a parent, but if God forbid you weren't there to see your children grow up, most parents would know that they'd want their child or their children to go to this couple or that couple. But if you don't put that in a legally binding document, again, you're not here, and unfortunately you don't know who's going to step forward to look after those children. It may be the people you would have chosen for yourself, it might not be.
Might not be.
Even worse, you might have competing sides of the family. So a situation, again, that's already horrible is made worse. And in really extreme circumstances, if no one steps forward, the children can end up in care and become a ward of court. Well, what parent's going to want that?
Gosh.
Especially when, if you're a parent watching this, you probably know, well, I'd want them to go to my sister, I'd want them to go to my best friend, I'd want them to go to
Makes you feel sick, doesn't it?
It's awful.
It does. Just the £89 in a conversation.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
just
what a
chat.
good, what a
And
great point.
Absolutely. And that's exactly it tonight. If you secure that deal, £89 for your will, and you know exactly what you want to happen is going to happen legally. So it's so important, isn't it?
It is.
To write a will. And why should we choose actually, and Ian, I'll ask you this, why should we choose Simpler Law rather than writing a template?
So you're just doing that to wind me up, right?
You love this one, don't you?
He gets a bit angry.
Yeah.
I don't know, look,
Do we get a soapbox for you?
I don't get angry, and obviously because this is what I do for a living, and we're a professional firm, this is all we do for a living. I don't understand why you'd take the risk, because making a will is the brilliant thing, but why take the risk of doing it yourself when you can't possibly, unless you're a qualified will writer, you know this, how do you know that you're giving yourself the best advice? Yes, there are templates out there that will say, put your name here, put your executor there, what do you want to happen? But that's not giving you any advice. When you deal with a company like ours, every bit of advice that we give you in every document that we write is insured. So you're protected. If we get it wrong, you're not going to lose out. And touch wood, we've never got it wrong. We've never had a claim on a professional indemnity insurance.
Fabulous.
Because we do the job right.
Great.
We also can give you the advice. You can't give yourself that advice if you don't know what it... We've seen people make mistakes where they've made cash gifts from the will, but they've not understood when there's a couple that cash gifts can be made either after first death or after second death. And sometimes if you've got a couple, we saw a situation where a gentleman owned his house, as used to happen back in the day. He wanted to leave everything to his wife, including the house, but he also wanted to give his grandchildren some money, and then after they both passed away, he wanted their children to have everything else. So kind of straightforward, but he'd done a template will, and he'd written £20,000 to each of his grandchildren as a cash gift. When he did that will, he'd only got 3 grandchildren. When he died, he'd got 9.
Oh, gosh.
And when he passed away, the will said that the first £180,000 was go to the grandchildren, which would have meant the sale of the house, which wasn't his intention. He doesn't want to make his wife homeless at the same time he's made her a widow. So he can't have taken advice on that because that's not what they wanted to achieve. So you don't want to use a template unless you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If I get a toothache, I don't try and guess what. I go and see a dentist.
Go
If my
to a
car,
specialist.
Yeah, if my car breaks down, I go and see a
Absolutely.
mechanic.
Yeah.
If you want a will, then it doesn't have to be expensive, and I promise you it's not morbid. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's really cathartic. Use a professional to do it, because then you know it's done right, and we take the responsibility for making sure it's right. Please, the worst thing you can do is decide to do a will and then not do it right.
Now, we do want you to get in touch. That is the first step. So that's what you need to do. Take that first step and you will not regret it. If you want a will or an LPA,